Schaeffer.
Schaeffer. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. This week's video is going to be a continuation of my series that I would like to call Read or Skip, where I get to tell you whether you should read or skip a series or standalone novel. This week, we are going to be covering a series that I haven't seen that much chatter about on TikTok or YouTube, so I'm really excited to get my hands on it. So this is called The Market of Monsters series by Rebecca Schaeffer? I think that's Schaeffer. And I'm really excited to talk about this. There are 3 books in this series, so I will be covering each individual book. And so let's start off strong with Not Even Bones. This was released in 2018. This was released in 2018, and this was Schaeffer's debut novel, which I think is so crazy that this book was so good. And then the following book is Only Ashes Remain, which is the second book, released the following year in 2019. And then in 2020, she released the third and final installment, When Villains Rise. This was her debut novel, which kind of just like spiraled into a really big thing. Obviously, it spawned 2 more books. But another really cool thing about Not Even Bones is that if you don't want to read the physical book, you can read it as a webcomic, and it's on Webtoons. I will show you a picture here, and I will also link it down below if that's how you like prefer to consume your books, because it's a really good graphic novel. It accurately follows the book really, really well. And so if you like to read your books that way, I'm pretty sure they've done all 3, but don't quote me on that. So let's get into this review. So I was first introduced to Not Even Bones through another blind date with a book while I was at Book People in Austin. And the cover essentially was just family drama, fairy tale characters, that kind of thing. I didn't know that it was a part of a series, unfortunately, so I did pick it up with the intention of it being a standalone. But obviously, when you turn the book around, you get that there is a second book. I do want to preface that this series specifically is very gory. It is very horror-based. It does deal with murder, and there is a lot of, like I said, goriness, there's blood, there's stuff like that in this book. So if that is not your cup of tea, I really would not recommend this book because of that. It's a huge aspect. It never stops being mentioned in this book and the rest of the series. So if that is something that you don't enjoy, I would skip this one. To start off, this book follows Nita, our main character, and how she navigates the world that she lives in, where every magical creature that you can think of, say a unicorn, that kind of stuff, vampires, they exist in this world that she lives in. Her and her mother are essentially black market people, I guess you could say. Her mom tracks down these really special mythical creatures, like I said, like vampires, because of their blood and all that stuff. So there's a black market for this specific things, like unicorn dust is a drug for people. And so her mom goes out and captures these animals, gives them to Nita, and she dissects them for all of their valuable parts. And she's been doing this for a while. I think she's like pretty young still in this big first book of the series. So a lot of it is really, really scary to think about, that she's still so young and dissecting these living creatures for years and years under her mom's watchful eye. So crazy. Then one day, her mom ends up bringing somebody who is almost exactly just like her, same age, same skin color, everything. And so she suddenly decides, hey, I have a moral compass. And so she ends up using everything that she has, all her resources, all her money, to save this kid that her mom had captured and tried to get Nita to dissect for money, which sucks, but that ends up biting her in the butt really bad. So in the end, unfortunately, Nita does end up getting sold off into the black market. The person that she saved ended up turning her in and was kind of like bargaining himself for her. So what really sucks is that she had developed this new sense of like just nobility, I guess you could say, and then that completely backfired in her face, and that seems to really drive her throughout the series. So what I really liked about this book was that it had me hooked from the very beginning. I devoured this book. I finished it probably within the day. The world building was really easy to follow. It was laid out for you like piece of candy after piece of candy, and you just understood the logistics of everything that's going on, the government, the laws, all that. You understood it really, really well in this first book. And I really also liked the plot. It was not so cut and dry as you would think. There was a lot of twists and turns, lots of stubborn decisions that our main character makes. But I was a little devastated to find out that this wasn't, like I said, a standalone book. So I did end up having to get the last 2 books shipped to my house. Unfortunately, they were just not available locally to me. But overall, this book was really, really fun. It was a nail-biting thriller. It was really action-packed, and you got a lot out of it, and you kind of just were able to finally, like, stop holding your breath by the end of this book. So I ended up giving Not Even Bones a 4-star rating. Then exactly a year later, Rebecca released her second installment in the series, Only Ashes Remain. Only Ashes Remain is a pretty direct sequel. This literally picks up right where we left off in Not Even Bones. They had just left the island. They are trying to figure out what to do next, where to go after this. But unfortunately, everything that happens on the island does not stay on the island. And now they are about to face even worse monsters out in the real world. This book also follows our second-ish main character. His name is Kovit. A lot of people like to call him COVID because it's a really similar name, but his name is Kovit. He is a zany, and he essentially helps Nita get out. I'm not going to tell you how in Not Even Bones, so they decide to team up together. But unfortunately, they were not careful, obviously, because they are kids. And a video of what Nita's like secret thing is circulated into the world. And for some reason, Nita, who has constantly battled within herself of whether she is a murderer like her mother or a murderer like Kovit, decides, hey, so all of these people put a target on my back. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go and kill a bunch of people and hope to never face the consequences. Girl, what? This book was so frustrating to get through because of the stupid decisions both of them were making. And I understand they were literal teenagers, they're children. So I could understand that a lot of their forward thinking just wasn't there. But a lot of the things that were utilized so well in Not Even Bones just weren't in this book. And I was so frustrated the entire time because I was expecting her to like just change or have some sort of character development, and she kind of just backtracked on everything that she built on in Not Even Bones, and I really just could not get into this book. I finished it though, and I unfortunately did already pick up the 3rd book along with it, so I did have to continue it, but I gave this book a 2-star rating. Then again, the following year in 2020, she released the 3rd and final installment, When Villains Rise. I really hate to say it, I really don't want to do her like this, but this book had the worst ending to a series I have ever read. And I've read a lot of series, and a lot of them didn't have a lot of great endings, but this one by far takes the cake for me. I think the really big thing that I didn't like about this book was the pacing was so incredibly slow. In the first 2 books, it's a lot of jam-packed action going on. There's a lot of riveting stuff that's happening to these characters. But by the 3rd one, they're all kind of they're just picking up the remains of everything that they did before. Again, like a lot of the things that have happened before, Nita's plans fail terribly. She ends up getting Kovit on a big, like think of like the FBI's most wanted list. And he's on number 1 because of Nita's decisions. And she essentially tries to fix it and magically somehow fixes it. But I think a lot of the things that I didn't really like about this is by the end of this book, she has completely lost herself in everything that she's done. And I think that could be something that could be well written and really well done if she just took her time writing these books. But a lot of this last book felt so incredibly rushed, and everything, like, it felt slow, but the ending was so fast. So many things got resolved within 2 pages of each other, and then we learned something, and then we completely forgot about it within the next chapter. And I was getting so frustrated with this because I wanted more. Again, by this point, you don't recognize Nita. You don't recognize her from the girl that she was at the very beginning of the book series, which I totally understand. She's gone through a lot of trauma. She's gone through a lot of things, but she has seemed to lose her entire moral compass. She lost her entire humanity, and she has turned into this monster, essentially. And she turns into exactly what she's feared the most, her mother. And don't even get me started on that big, that part. If you read this series and you get to this 3rd book, which I'm power to you, but something happens in this 3rd book that just like completely, you think it's going to be this big thing, and then it ends up only happening for like 2 pages, and then it's blown over and you're done. And you're like, what? Huh? How did we get there? I was so frustrated by the end of this book that I really just could not believe that I had spent so much time on these characters. I was so invested. I was so excited to see where we were going in this. And then by the end of it, I just felt so lackluster, and I felt devastated by the end. And the ending wasn't even a good closure ending. It was ambiguous. She left the ending open-ended. And I was like, why would you do that? Why would you have this be an ambiguous ending for this series? It was so frustrating. I gave this book, can you guess, a 2-star rating. Overall, I would have to say that I give this series a 6 out of 10. I loved the premise of it. I really was enjoying the first book. I kind of enjoyed the second one. It's just, it was a very downhill track for me, and I wish I could rate it a little bit higher. I'm only giving it a 6 instead of like a 4 or 5 or something, because I really did enjoy Not Even Bones, and it set up such a great story. When Only Ashes Remain was good, since we got to visit a new character, Kovet, and learn more about him and his backstory, because you were so interested in it in Not Even Bones. It just, that 3rd book was the most rushed book I have ever read. It was so fast, but also so slow. I don't know how she managed it. Again, if this is your favorite series, it's your favorite series, but unfortunately, this series did not stick the landing for me. And so my verdict of whether you should read or skip is skip. I think if you really wanted to find something that dealt with this specific like storyline, I'm pretty sure you could find probably an adult or fiction book that dealt with these themes a little bit better. I feel like this series was really rushed. They were released within 1 year of each other. I really wish she had taken her time with the last book. I understand it was probably COVID time, so she was just trying to really just hone in on her skills. It's just, Not Even Bones was such a good read for me, so that the rest of the series was so disappointing that I really could not recommend this series, because this was the only good one, her first one. Also, if you have this series in your TBR, go ahead and read it, and honestly come back and tell me your opinions on it. But if you don't have it right now, don't pick it up. I would just skip. I'm so sorry. But that is my reader skip series on the Market of Monsters, and the verdict again is skip. I really hope you guys enjoy these videos. I have a lot of fun writing the scripts for them and getting to tell you guys a little bit about these books and who wrote them, when they were published, things like that. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this series, because I'm enjoying it. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a huge thumbs up. And if you liked me and my reviews, be sure to hit that subscribe button and subscribe to see more of me. That is all I have for you guys this week. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye! Okay, hold on. Keep going!
I'm trying.
I love how it's Spider-Man.
It's going good too.